This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
It's the Russell Reed Show.
Welcome to the Russell Reed Show, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a little fun tonight. We're going to be talking with Carl Johnson and Dina Palazzini. Both of them are paranormal investigators. Carl has been working at an hospice with the Rhode Island College. He has been with the Atlantic Paranormal Society for 8 years, and both of them have appeared on the Sci-Fi Channel series Ghost Hunters, Animal Planet's The Haunted, and the Travel Channel's documentary Most Terrifying Places in America. Carl is specializing as a demonologist, and he writes and lectures on related topics. Dina, since early childhood, has been empathetic in her ability to experience emotional states of human beings and animals. She has a sense of disembodied presence. She's approaches paranormal investigations with dedication and objectivity. She founded Beyond the Veil Paranormal Research in 2009. She's also a Bigfoot hunter, and she's been on Animal Planet's The Haunted, Finding Bigfoot, Travel Channel's Most Terrifying Places in America. So we're going to be talking to them today about everything that goes bump in the night. Some other little business. Tomorrow, the Msc Radio Network 7th Annual Uncensored Net Noise Birthday Bash. The doors open at 8 o'clock. The shows start at 9. It'll be at the Rock City Tap House at 5324 State Road. That's in Parma. It is $8 at the door. If you are under 21, it's $8 at the door plus a $3 cover. It is an all-age show. Morality Check, The Burning Harlots, Darling Waste will be performing. The headliner will be Necris Obscura. Finally was able to say that. And the staff of everybody here at MSC Radio will be in attendance for that party. So come on up, have a little celebration with us, and meet everybody. And we are just moments away from talking with Carl and Dina. If you want to check them out, they have websites, bigfootseekers.com, bigroadie.com, and beyondtheparanormal.org. Check them out, and it is very interesting, to say the least. They are from Rhode Island, and we are trying to contact them right now. And
hello, Carl Johnson speaking.
Hey, Carl, Russell Reed from the Russell Reed Show. How are you doing, my friend?
Thought it probably would be at this time. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Welcome to the show. I was just giving everybody a little synopsis of what you do and what you and Dina do. How did you get involved in all of this?
Well, define all of what? Do you mean cryptozoology as in Bigfoot research, or do you mean paranormal investigation?
Everything.
Everything. I grew up interested in the weird and unusual, and had some paranormal activity in the house I grew up in my parents' house.
Okay.
Because we didn't call it paranormal activity back then. We thought it was just ghostly stuff, hauntings. And that set me on the road to exploring the unusual, and have been doing ever since. And I've been a paranormal investigator for nigh on to 30 years now, 30 plus actually.
And how did you get into the hunting for Bigfoot, or as you all call him, Big Rony?
Big Roadie, yes, our own backyard Big Roadie. In fact, I was just researching that to see what's online about it. I met Dina Palazzini, and I'd known her for just a couple of months when I'd been coming over to visit her for a couple of months when she told me she had a Bigfoot sighting, and she was hesitant to even share that with me. And I said, "There's something you've been wanting to tell me. Now you can tell me. I'm a paranormal investigator. I've been at this for a while." And Dina told me, while we were watching Monster Quest and Bigfoot was on, and she said, "I saw one of those." I said, "You're kidding." And she said, "Nope, I really did. I saw one." And she told me how she had an experience about 23 years before then, and took me to the site in Cumberland, Rhode Island, where she had that experience. And that same day, we found some anomalous tracks that were oversized, and I was trying to determine if that was because of it was damp soil and maybe they widened, but it hadn't rained for some time, and these looked like fresh tracks. They looked like oversized bare human footprints, except they lacked an arch indent. They were kind of anomalous, and so we set out exploring the Bigfoot enigma in Rhode Island and found some remarkable evidence. It could be telltale signs of Bigfoot presence, such as broken, twisted branches all in a line. Little trees, but too thick for a human to easily break and twist. Okay. And somebody would have to have spent a lot of time and energy doing so. And we found the tracks in association with these broken trees. And then 2 years ago, Dina came out with something rather remarkable. She and our team member, Chris, were driving through the woods of Exeter, Rhode Island, the woodland paths, a dirt road, and they were filming what they call B-roll. And when they reviewed their film, there's a strange figure walking in the background behind a stone wall. Doesn't look quite human, doesn't look animal either, and we think that could be a Bigfoot that she got. It's not a person. If you see the film, it's
okay.
Pretty obvious it's not a person, but it looks like some kind of sturdy bipedal creature walking in the woods. So together, Dina and I formed the Big Rhodey Research Project, and Big Rhodey is a play on the popular nickname for Rhode Island, which is Little Rhodey. So we came up with our Big Rhodey, and that was documented for an episode of Finding Bigfoot on the Animal Planet. So that's basically how I got into it. I've done some writing for our website and gone on research. I have not yet seen the creature as Dina has. Dina saw this up close and personal now 25 years ago. But I'm not going to tell you the whole story, dear. You can tell it. But I heard it. I heard something I can't explain, let's say. I was on a Big Rhodey expedition with a couple of team members, and it was about 10 o'clock at night. We were trying an experiment in tree knocking and leaving out some bait. Well, after a minute or two of tree knocking, I didn't hear knocking back. That's where you take a stick and bang it against a tree and make a noise. And supposedly sometimes Bigfoot will respond to that and do tree knocking in response. But I heard footfalls. I not only heard them, I could feel them through my legs. It was a hard dirt path. And this is precisely the area where Dina had her sighting all those years ago. Saw this thing, or rather heard it, and Dina's just handing me a note. And she wants me to ask you to post the links to the Big Road website. What?
I shall do that.
Oh, no. It's for you. No, I say tell him to post the links, please. Some of our friends are having difficulty getting on to your show, so if you could post the link somewhere where they could find it, that would be helpful.
Okay, I can.
I can take care of it for you.
Yeah. Now.
Okay.
Now, one of the main reasons I wanted to get you guys on is a question that's been bothering me for a long time. Long story short, we were at a local little resort here in the Cleveland area, and their manor was certified haunted. How does something get certified haunted?
Well, that's the first cousin to certifiable, I suppose. But yeah, just I'll get that joke out of the way so nobody else has to. Well, certified means a group of people get together and determine it's haunted. If you get enough people agreeing on that, it's probably certified haunted. I mean, it's not a legal term, except when it comes into real estate. Many states have a requirement that the seller of a home disclose whether the house is haunted and the property is haunted or not.
That was my next question.
They should say that it is. Connecticut has that. I think more states than don't have that now. I don't believe Rhode Island does, but New York does. If a house has purported and repeated paranormal activity, the seller is obligated to disclose the haunting, that there has been a haunting situation there. And because people can move into a home and find out, hey, wait a minute, you didn't tell me there were ghosts in this house, and it turns out there are. And then they can, they have legal recourse if it turns out that the house has been known to be haunted, and the house and property been known to be haunted for some time. Oh, what I was going to say about that Bigfoot encounter, I heard footfalls approaching us, and we stayed for a couple of minutes, but we're only too happy to leave. I grew up in a country setting. I never heard anything like that. It was heavy footfalls that I've likened to an elephant walking on its hind legs. And one of the members of the BFRO, Finding Bigfoot Show, told me that that's probably a male asserting himself, trying to scare us away and marking his territory, so we won't return. Well, we returned, but we were glad to get out of there that night. But anyway, I'll be quiet for a little while and let you go on if you have some questions.
Well, one of the questions which everybody seems to ask is, they find remains of dinosaurs, they find remains of this, find remains of that. Has there anyone ever found remains of a Sasquatch?
Purportedly they have, yes. Bigfoot and Sasquatch is notorious for not leaving any traces behind except the footprints and broken branches. However, there are some people who claim to have samples of Bigfoot, the blood that has been analyzed and has been determined to be not altogether human, but not totally primate either. I mean, it's not a monkey. It's not simian, I should say. It is primate in the sense that humans are primate too, but it's not quite human. Blood samples have been found and analyzed. They come up inconclusive because nobody can say just what they are. Very similar to human, but with some differences. A tooth has been found. The man does not want to part with it because all researchers are going to do is grind it up and destroy it to analyze it for DNA, and the results will be deemed inconclusive anyway, so he doesn't want to part with his molar. It's enough that he's found it. He thinks it might be a molar, but
okay.
It's not a fossil. It's from a recently living creature. So little bits and hair has been analyzed that it's not not of the human kind,
Okay.
and it's not chimpanzee, not ape. It's something in between. So tantalizing little scraps of evidence have been found that can't be discounted. But has Bigfoot been proved? I would say not at this point. Some interesting suggested evidence has been uncovered.
Okay. And God, I don't even know how to ask this. Are they herbivores, omnivores, or carnivores, or no one really knows?
They are thought to be omnivores. I mean, many Bigfoot supporters like to say they're vegetarians and they're harmless, but no, there's evidence that they eat meat in the form of deer, and deer are hard to catch, though, but sometimes mutilated deer carcasses are found that don't seem to be... they've been killed by predation, but they don't seem to be any known animal that has torn them apart the way they have been. They have a fondness for domestic animals, farm animals, pigs and sheep mostly. They will kill those because they're easy to catch. They're penned in. So they do seem to be omnivores. I think they would have to be to survive in the wilderness. They'd have to eat fish and frogs and whatever livestock they are fortunate enough to catch. Every once in a while, a deer, like perhaps if they found a lame deer, they could devour that. They seem to eat a lot of things, but they don't like scraps. They don't like garbage.
Huh.
They like fresh food. They're kind of fussy. People have put out garbage, and bears will eat that, and other fauna will eat garbage that's put out. But Bigfoot, it doesn't seem to bother with it. People have put up trip cameras where trying to catch Bigfoot, and it pretty much seems to have to be fresh food. Problem with that is if you set out fish or steak as fresh or fowl, that's what bears go for, and that's what other woodland creatures that eat meat go for.
Yeah, so you're
very hard to trick a Bigfoot and put out little goodies for him. Something always gets them first.
Yeah. Now, throughout the world, there have been spottings everywhere, and they all have different names. Is that correct?
They do. There's skunk ape. There's, of course, Sasquatch is a Canadian Indian term, and in the Pacific Northwest, they'll call it Sasquatch. Let's see. There's the woolly booger, was one of my favorites.
The woolly booger?
Yeah, woolly booger.
Okay.
The woolly booger's out there. Yeah, it almost sounds like boogeyman, but that's another popular term for the ape, and it's had different names down through the years.
Yeah, I guess in Ohio it's the grass man is what.
The grass man is another one of my favorites. Yeah, he's been, because he's found in the tall grass marshes and in the southeast mostly, and he also takes on a greenish look, I think, because of the moss and the swamp grasses. So he's grass man.
Okay. So
Dina could probably give you a few more appellations as applied to this creature.
But Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the Yeti, they're all kind of different names for the same thing?
Pretty much. The Yeti differentiates somewhat. It's found in the Himalayas and, high climbs in northern China and Tibet. And they report something very similar to our American Sasquatch. And sometimes they're a little more simian. When you get into the rushes and you get into Siberia, then the creature seems almost human. People describe a wild man covered with hair. And every once in a while, one of these has been captured and let go. But we have reports from the 1800s and the early 20th century. And, of course, the documentation is loose, but they have been documented that sometimes they've been captured and they die in captivity, they escape. Of particular interest was the case of Zena, who was supposedly captured in Siberia, and she was never totally civilized, but she lived in a village, and she was a wild woman. She was hair covered, had a wild expression, never learned to speak, and possessed prodigious strength. She was a terrific swimmer and could climb, and she was kept. And she actually bore offspring. Several men in the village brought wine to her and apparently copulated, mated with her, and had offspring. What's interesting about this is she had a son named Wheat, and his grave was exhumed for study. And his skull has been measured and documented, and there is a photograph of it. There are photographs of two of Zena's children. And they look rather anomalous for the region. They're very rugged and dark-skinned, not like people should look in that region. They weren't light-skinned, as they should have been. But, they are human beings, but they're rather remarkable to see. And there's a photograph of one of, Wheat's, it's his sister's child in it. So that would be Zena's grandson. And he was a very powerful build and just kind of a remarkable-looking man, but quite human nonetheless. So these are supposedly her children. So it's been documented that she did live. Her grave is not marked, or at least wasn't well marked, so they haven't found her yet. They found what might be her grave. Now, was she some kind of Alma, the Almasti they call it there in that region, like they think are close kin to Neanderthals? Or was she just an unusual specimen of human being? We don't know, but there are a lot of stories about her. If you look at pictures of her children, there's something different about them. They just don't look like they should be in that region.
Okay.
And they're powerfully built.
Okay, and I looked at the one site, just escaped me, the BFOG, I think it is. And it lists, all the states and all the sightings, and I was surprised Ohio's like number 5. That kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, Ohio has a lot of that going on. Is that what I found that on MSN just a few minutes before your call?
Okay.
It charts out reports of Bigfoot sightings, not that have been confirmed, but have been reported usually by credible witnesses. And boy, they're peppered all over the United States.
Yeah, and that was my question. They had Class A and Class B sightings. Now, what is I just surmised that a Class B is one person saw it, and a Class A was more than one person with evidence of footprints or something. Am I close, or?
I think that would be pretty much it, how you describe it. Class A might also entail a photograph.
Okay.
And, they're generally blurry and hard to make out. I mean, one comedian a few years ago said, why are our pictures of Bigfoot always blurry? I think Bigfoot is blurry. That's just the way he looks. But,
I mean, with the technology we have, you think you get a good picture.
Yeah, you think you would after all this time. Class A is when you have corroboration. More than one person has cited it, and there's some evidence to support the sighting. Class B would be where perhaps one person, perhaps two see it, but there's an alternate explanation for what they saw. They might have seen a person. They might have seen some forest animal that was on its hind legs like a bear.
Yeah.
There's room for more doubt with the Class B sighting.
Okay, and
A, it gets better.
And I'll throw my mom under the bus. One of the questions she asked was, why aren't there more people coming forward with sightings? And I'm like, well, let's kind of think about this. Who are you going to call and who's going to believe you? Do you find that how it basically works?
Yes, you can narrow it down to two categories. So there are the people who would love to get on television and tell their story. There are quite a few of those. It's just the lure of being on television and sharing their account. There are other people who don't want the social stigma. Like they say, I have a job. I don't want to be laughed at. My kids are going to go to school in this town. I don't want to say what I saw. But sometimes those people will contact us and ask that they remain anonymous, want to maintain their anonymity, even though they have these sightings. Those we pay careful attention to, because the person isn't into this for any recognition or any gain.
Okay.
But there's nothing wrong with wanting to tell your story out in the open. It took Dina quite some years to come out of the Bigfoot closet, so to speak. She was nervous about telling me, and when she gave her first public talk about this, it was in Ohio, in South Fork, at a Bigfoot conference, the 23rd annual South Fork, Southern Ohio Bigfoot Conference. And she was quite nervous about it, but she opened up and shared her story, and a lot of people were very interested in what she had to say.
Okay. Now, switching over to the paranormal aspect of what you do, ever get scared going into a place that's haunted and just getting a tap on the shoulder and there's no one there but you?
Yes. Well, I work at a place where that happens frequently.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it has to be a definite tap to, relegate that to spirit activity. I mean, I have to really feel like I thought somebody was behind me touching me, and I turn around, I start talking to them. I turn around, there's nobody there. I'm employed at historic Slater Mill site in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, which has been preserved as a museum because that is the seat of the American factory system in the American Industrial Revolution. And I've had some strange experiences there. My first year working there, I've been employed with Slater Mill for 7.5 years now. And my first year, I wish I had a tip for every time somebody after a tour asked me, excuse me, this is going to sound crazy, but is your mill haunted? Because people were poked and touched and prodded, or one lady had her hair lifted up. People saw objects move, saw mysterious figures. Turn around, there's nobody there a moment later. So I decided this is most probably a haunted site. The way I see it, you can't have the hauntings without the history. And there's some historic sites really aren't haunted, don't have that paranormal activity. It just so happens that Slater Mill does. Might have been a combination of factors, the tragic accidents that occurred in the factory.
A lot of them with the children, from what I saw on your website.
Notorious for employing child labor in these mills. Children as young as 6 years of age could come and work full 12-hour shifts, and children were more plentiful than adults, therefore regarded as expendable. And when that child gets injured or killed, they just replace that child with another child. And the more information we uncover, the more we find out that happened more frequently than we originally thought. Children being placed in harmful positions and risky jobs. And also the Slater Mill site is situated next to the Blackstone River. And the Blackstone River has a high mineral content, so combined with the constant flow of rushing water, it generates a low-grade electric charge. Also, there are large quantities of lime deposits in the Blackstone Valley, which is, Pawtucket and Cumberland, and so that could affect paranormal activity too. But for whatever reasons, we're pretty sure that Slater Mill is haunted, and that's where I felt the hands on my shoulder, and that's where other people who did not subscribe to paranormal activity, people have been, touched and poked, and it's sometimes the last people that you'd ever expect to report being touched by a ghost or seeing a ghost have come to me and share their experiences.
Now, when you film your the different shows, like the Animal Planets, the Haunted, and Most Terrifying Places in America, how long of a shoot is it until you have something that you can't explain happen, or as soon as you get in there, it happens?
No, it's always different. We've been called to houses that have a history of paranormal activity, or that people are being bothered by it, and that's why we're there. So it usually doesn't take too long. But what happens right away is if there's a house with a concentration of paranormal activity, I can feel that as soon as we pull up in the driveway. You kind of feel you're being watched, and you don't feel particularly welcome. It's a subjective experience, but it's palpable. It's like my hairs down my arm stand up and back of my neck, and it says something's up here. I just don't. Maybe it's because I've heard what's happening here, but I just don't feel like something wants me to come in, especially if it's a malevolent haunting. That could be a demonic case, an unfriendly spirit. It usually doesn't take too long before something happens, because I and the crew are there to investigate and to intervene to try and help these people. And usually spirits are not fond of being driven out, especially the angry types of spirits. So it's usually within a few hours that something will happen. And by something, I mean you hear something tip over in the next room, or some object will move and fly across the room, or you hear something crash and break, or hear hammerings on the walls that can't be explained away. It usually doesn't take more than a few hours, because we start right in with the interview process. And so if the spirits are intelligent and aware of us, if they're perceptive of why we're there, they're going to start making their displeasure known early on.
Okay. Kind of showing off a little bit, saying, we're here,
please
leave.
Yeah. They want to be noticed just as living people do. And they're jealous of the territory. They don't want anybody coming in and trying to drive them out or trying to relocate the family. They want to keep making their disturbance there and without interference. And when I come in, that's what I'm doing. I'm interfering. I'm trying to explore the haunting. I mean, we haven't been called in on paranormal investigations, including those documented for the television shows. We're not called in if it's just, come see our ghost. We like having a spirit here. No, it's when they've got a problem that a demonologist is contacted. And I'm a paranormal investigator who specializes as a demonologist. So that's when I'm called in, when there's a problem.
Okay, and do you guys cleanse the house, or do you bring a priest in to do that?
We attempt to cleanse the house. We try to get to the bottom of what caused the disturbance in the first place. I always recommend the intervention of clergy. If we can get a priest to assist us, for whatever reason that will work. Sometimes it is very effective to have clergy there present, so I prefer to. That's not always possible. I wouldn't consider myself a holy man, but I am sincere, and I also want to get at the root of the problem, because when it's a harmful haunting, Dina's telling me, take a breath. No, I'm enthusiastic about what we're talking about. You ask me a question, you get like 4,000 words before you can ask another one. But, yes, we do try to alleviate the situation, find out what psychological imbalance, what tension is in that house, what could have brought this in or caused it, or was it just there in the house when the people moved in? Try to get at the root of it, and then do our best to solve the problem with various degrees of success.
Very cool. And we're up against our first break, Carl. Thank you very much. What we're going to do is an 8-minute break, and we'll give you guys a call back and get Dina on the phone and continue all this, and feel free to jump in when you want to. So we'll give you guys a call back in about 10 minutes.
Okay, we'll be here for you.
All right, thank you very much. And this is the Russell Reed Show. That was Carl Johnson, demonologist and a paranormal investigator and Bigfoot expert. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hang tight.
Watch out.
Oh, great. Not another Farmville request. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Morning Show Central. Denying one Farmville request at a time. Heard of the 7 deadly sins?
You are evil! Pure evil! Pure evil!
They're nothing compared to Uncensored Net Noise's 7th annual birthday bash.
But I gotta do this!
Friday, September 20th at the Rock City Tap House in Parma. Live on stage, it's Morality Check, Necros Obscura, The Burning Harlots, Darling Waste, and more for this amazing all-ages show.
Because of your words, I'm now ready to destroy.
All the details for the 7th annual Uncensored Net Noise Birthday Bash at MSCRadioNetwork.com.
I know, oh my God, I know what we're gonna do. Oh, it's so delicious, I can almost taste it.
If you're looking for the best sub shop in town, look no further. Hanini Subs, located at 7310 Lorraine Avenue, is the place for you. Stop in for a cold cut sub, cheeseburger and fries, wingdings and fries, and so much more.
I can almost taste it.
Hanini Subs at 7310 Lorraine Avenue is open 24 hours a day. Check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/Burrito Crazy. And if you mention MSC Radio Network, you'll get $1 off your meal. It's all good at Hanini Subs.
So damn good.
You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network. Looking for reliable and affordable Shoutcast audio or video hosting? JWN Media offers complete Shoutcast hosting solutions for business or personal use. All plans come with full listener stats, custom web scripts for implementing your service into your existing website, full server control, super fast network, and huge bandwidth limits, a 99.5% uptime guarantee, and friendly, knowledgeable support personnel dedicated to making your hosting experience fun and easy. With plans starting at only $3 a month, you have no excuse not to get a server of your own. Plus, with the option to add auto DJ and on-demand services, you can be confident your station will be all it can be. Custom plans are also available at their website. Simply visit jwnmedia.com and click the Shoutcast hosting link to get started right now. Lakewood Computer, located at 14035 Madison Avenue in Lakewood, has it all. If you're in need of computer repairs or want to cut the cost of ink cartridges and printing supplies, count on Lakewood Computer in Lakewood, Ohio to provide it all. For the past 5 years, Lakewood Computer has been providing you with a huge assortment of computer equipment and services at very competitive prices. Lakewood Computer purchases and sells pre-owned desktops, laptops, and related equipment, and they offer outstanding prices on aftermarket printing supplies, including toner cartridges and ink cartridges. With 29 years of professional experience, Lakewood Computer is highly confident in their ability to enhance your overall computing experience. Check them out online at joeslakewoodcomputer.com. That's joeslakewoodcomputer.com. Or give them a call toll-free, 855-580-0768. That's 855-580-0768. With hundreds of live weather products and layers and thousands of combinations, Weather Studio provides a professional graphics and store monitoring solution without complex user knowledge and without the industry standard price tag of $1,000 plus broadcast systems. Weather Studio displays a plethora of critical atmospheric and geophysical data on an interactive GIS-enabled computer map. Get your free 14-day trial of Weather Studio at their website, weatherstudio.paulmarv.com. That's weatherstudio.paulmarv.com. If you have a product or service, let people know about it. Get your message out there and advertise on MSC Radio Network. It's easier than you think, and the whole planet is listening. Find out how you can advertise. Email Chris at morningshowcentral.com.
Oh, wow. Language.
Okay.
Okay, he was PMSing.
You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network. Heat 99 Technologies. Affordable and reliable web hosting done right. Jumping from one web host to another can be frustrating. Finding a good web host can be unnerving for even the most experienced of web designers. That's why Uncensored Net Noise has chosen P99 Technologies as its web hosting supplier. Established in 1999, P99 Technologies has evolved into a first-class web hosting provider. Its 99.9% uptime rivals many in the industry. That's why they offer their 30-day guarantee, no questions asked. For more information, go to P99.com. P99 Technologies will help you get started with your web presence with honest and expert customer service. P99 Technologies. Affordable and reliable web hosting done right. Hey, local bands and unsigned artists. What if I told you there was a place in Cleveland where you can get your merch made and have it sold in one location? What if I said you could bring your CDs and tickets to upcoming shows to this location? And what if I said you could do live acoustic sets at this location? I bet you're thinking there's no such place in Cleveland. Guess what? You'd be wrong. Contact Rick Navario at Rock City, Cleveland, and tell him you need merch made and you want to sell it in his store. Now, how cool is that? You can tell your fans to come down and get your stuff, and I think he'd ship your products to your fans. And he's local. Contact Rick Navario at Rock City, Cleveland today. 216-622-0377. That's 216-622-0377. If you're looking for the best in musical equipment, recording gear, sound reinforcement, and more, Guitar Center has you covered. Guitar Center, located at 26635 Brook Park Road in North Olmsted, has the tools of your trade with the largest selection of music and sound gear in the area. They cater to your musical needs and have the knowledge to help you out. Guitar Center in North Olmsted. MorningShowCentral.com uses them. You should too. Need to know more? Go to GuitarCenter.com. Call the show toll-free. 1-888-668-0742. You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network on MorningShowCentral.com. Heard of the 7 deadly sins?
You are evil! Pure evil! Pure evil!
They're nothing compared to Uncensored Net Noise's 7th annual birthday bash.
But I gotta do this.
Friday, September 20th at the Rock City Tap House in Parma. Live on stage, it's Morality Check, Necros Obscura, The Burning Harlots, Darling Waste, and more for this amazing all-ages show.
Because of your words, I'm not ready to destroy.
All the details for the 7th annual Uncensored Net Noise birthday bash at MscRadioNetwork.com. User-friendly and ready to serve. MorningShowCentral.com.
Right from the start, you were a thief. You stole my
Welcome back to the Russell Reed Show.
You will
The MSC Radio Network is having their 7th annual Uncensored Net Noise Birthday Bash tomorrow night. Doors open up at 9. Doors open up at 8. Performances are at 9. $8 at the door if you're 21 and under. It's $8 plus a $3 cover charge. It's at the Rock City Tap House. That's at 5324 State Road. Morality Check, The Burning Harlots, Darling Waste, and the headliner will be Necros Obscura. Been practicing that all week. Our guests this evening are paranormal investigators and Bigfoot hunters, Carl Johnson and Dina Palazzini. We're going to come back on with Dina and talk about how she got into all the paranormal investigating and the Bigfoot hunting. And just a quick minute, you gotta love live radio.
Hello.
Hey, Dina, welcome to the show. This is Russell Reed.
How you doing, Russell?
Very well. Thank you for making time for us. Now,
of course.
How did you get involved with paranormal activity and hunting for Bigfoot?
Paranormal. We'll start with that.
Okay.
When I was about 4 years old, I actually started seeing spirits. And I never really told anybody because, you tell your mom, hey, I saw this thing, and it's like a ghost or whatever, and then like, oh, there's no such thing as ghosts. there are such things as ghosts, because I see them all the time. Not as much now that I'm older, but I do still see them from time to time. I started actually investigating, or trying to debunk, I should say, when I was about 9. When I was watching TV in Massachusetts, we lived in a house, and a book went flying across the room. I just kind of looked at this thing fly across the room. And, okay, what's going on here? So I went and checked the windows, being a little debunker I was. Windows weren't open. I picked the book up. I'm like, this is too heavy to fly across the room.
And no one else was around.
No one was in the room.
Okay.
So
yeah, I've been out of that house so fast. I gotta be honest.
It didn't scare me because I was seeing them since I was 4.
Okay. And then you were lucky enough to see a Bigfoot.
At the time, I didn't think I was so lucky, but yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of people that would love to see one, and you were able to witness it not once but twice.
Yes.
And
twice.
And how do you? I mean, is it you just kind of keep it quiet just because you don't want to hear the ridicule and the people making fun? I mean, or do you just tell whoever's going to listen? I mean, how do you explain to people what you do and have them not kind of roll their eyes and look at you like you're crazy?
Well, your first question about the Bigfoot thing coming out of the closet, basically. Well, it took years to come out of the closet. I mean, this thing scared me. I didn't know what it was. What do you say to someone? Hey, I just saw a monster in the woods.
Yeah.
It was huge. It was hairy. It looked like a man, but it wasn't a man. But it was a man. What do you say to that? You don't. You just keep it quiet. I mean, I was in shock. I had to bury it. With the 3 other friends that I was with, we were all crying. We were upset, and they were guys.
Okay, so you had other people that saw it also.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, definitely. We were in a convertible. We're in an undisclosed location here in Rhode Island. And this thing just couldn't hear anything. It appeared there. I mean, I could smell something, but, you're in the woods. It doesn't always smell so good,
Yeah.
And we all looked up. Well, I looked up, I think, first. And then everybody could feel it, like something was staring,
Yeah.
And we started screaming. I'm trying to duck underneath the car, like under the seat of the car. There's nowhere to go.
Wow.
Screaming at the driver. And we're all swearing, put the key in and start the car and let's go. Screaming. We finally get up onto the highway after. I'm surprised we didn't kill ourselves on that winding road. It was such a small road. It's like 1 lane, but actually it's 2 lanes, but it's 1 lane.
And then you saw it later on down, in life also, and you were a little bit more willing to admit to seeing it then than you were because you've already seen it once?
I've been admitting it publicly for the past, I'd say, 4 years.
Okay.
I've been researching, actually, not too long after I saw my first one. I had my first sighting, I'd go in the woods. I just wouldn't say anything, but I was always looking around like, I know you're out here. Whatever you are, you're out here. After a few years, I figured out what it was.
Okay. And then in the paranormal stuff, how did you get involved with Animal Planet and the Travel Channel and again, other television appearances?
Well, they actually contacted us through our website.
Okay.
Except for finding Bigfoot, somebody on my team leaked my footage. We won't say who that is, right, Carl? without me knowing. But you know what? It put Bigfoot on the map. I mean, they were always saying, all the Bigfoot researchers out there were saying there's been sightings in every state of the nation except for Rhode Island and Hawaii. And now Rhode Island's on the map.
And Hawaii's not.
Well, it's an island.
Yeah.
If they can build a canoe,
then you have a sighting. Now, when you were first approached by the networks, were you skeptical? Do you think they were going to make a mockery of your research, or were they sincere about doing it the way you envisioned it to be done?
Well, with the show Finding Bigfoot on Animal Planet, I seen the show. I knew what was going to happen, and they warned me. Yeah, we got thrown under the bus, but so does everybody else. Other credible witnesses that have footage or whatever, they get thrown under the bus too. It's a TV show. It is what it is. The Haunted, I have to say, was one of the best shows I've ever been on in my life. It was all just the people, the client, going to the house. It was about the paranormal investigators. It was all footage, live footage. Actually, most of it I shot myself.
Okay. And what was there ever a show on like The Haunted or this most terrifying places in America that you would not go back to, that just bothered you a lot?
You know what? Nothing really bothered me. It is what it is. It's TV. It's entertainment. I mean, The Haunted was my favorite because it was about the people. It was about the client. It was about their emotions and what they were feeling at the time, what they were seeing in their house. So that, to me, was just, I don't know why they don't have the show on anymore. It was very credible. I've even cried watching it at times. Most terrifying places in America, it's more about, people's testimony. It's a TV show. It's an entertainment, and it's about haunted locations. But The Haunted was about actually going there to the client's house, filming it, getting real footage of the emotion of the family, and documenting the evidence. So, I mean, that was, I think, a very credible show.
And
Finding Bigfoot, well, it's a TV show.
Do you find that there's a lot of skeptics out there when it comes to paranormal activity?
Oh, definitely. If it wasn't for the skeptics, we would be out of a job. We need our skeptics.
Right. The reason why I asked that question, though, I'm one of the producers on the Russell Reed Show, but the reason why I asked that question is that, I went on my own investigation with a local paranormal investigating team that's here in Cleveland, and we went to the Fantasy nightclub in Lakewood, Ohio. And I went there, and I'm very skeptical. I mean, the only way I'm going to believe that there's a ghost is if the ghost comes up to me and punches me in the face and says, "Hi, I'm a ghost." But the thing was that when I went there, I really, they had all these different devices that they used and so on and so forth. Can you tell me about some of the devices that you use when you go out on a hunt?
I have a K2 meter. Actually measures electromagnetic fields in the area and disturbances. It'll light up to different colors and different ways. Me, myself, I go in with my body. I'm empathic and I'm sensitive. It was just something I was born with. I believe everybody's born with it.
Now they used some sort of device that it was like a radio, like an AM radio or FM radio or something like that, and it would
white noise.
The ghost box.
Yeah, something like that, and they programmed it somehow where they would ask it a question and then it would reply with whatever radio signal that's out there and whatever is going on. And they were asking a bunch of questions, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of skeptic here. How's this thing really work? And
I don't blame you. I'm skeptic about the ghost box too.
Right.
It's an entertainment. The ghost box is an entertainment. Well, no, that was the Ovilus that did the Carl Johnson, wasn't it? But no, it's, I don't know. I don't. use them. Only once in a while if we're filming and we're having fun and we're just out there.
Now, how many hunts have you went on so far in your career so far?
How many ghost hunts? I can't even count. How many investigations have I been on? Wow. Chris, help me out there. You're on the chat room. I don't know. Over 200. 48. Carl's like 48. A lot.
Okay, that's what the reason why I asked that question is because, there's a lot of investigators out there that go on these, these investigations and they go out and they do their thing. And there's like the I guess the weekend quarterbacks, you want to call them, and they just go out and do it for fun. Now, are you one of the weekend quarterbacks, or are you, the type that, really wants to go out there and really find out what's going on when it comes to, paranormal activity?
I take it very seriously. And if people on the team don't, I tell them to leave. I take everything I do when it comes to either, the paranormal or Bigfooting. When I go out in the field, when I'm Bigfooting, you better listen or leave, because I don't like a bunch of goof-offs hanging around. If you're going to goof off, then you need to go.
What do you say to people? What do you say to people that actually go out and try to do this on their own, first time, people, and do they have to worry about, like you hear people like on these ghost stories and stuff like that, like, you shouldn't try this on your own if you don't know what you're doing, because you can bring someone back to your house and it might not be a pretty picture, and then you have a ghost in your house and all this other stuff. So, I mean, do you think it's feasible for like the average Joe to go out there and, like Russell, would it be okay for Russell, without any kind of knowledge or any kind of background in paranormal activity, would it be wise for him to do it on his own?
I don't think anybody should go out there alone and do it. I don't think it's safe. I believe in, reading about it, learn a little bit about it, what can happen and what the consequences can be. I went onto the USS Salem, and I had an attachment because nobody told me it was haunted, and I didn't ground myself. And that's the whole thing. Is you got to ground yourself before you go into these situations, because you don't know. You need to be powerful, more powerful than that spirit. If you're weak in any way, it can attach itself to you.
Have you ever encountered any demonic investigations yet?
Yes, one of the shows I was on, The Haunted. I wouldn't say it was demonic in a sense. I mean, Carl has had more experiences with full-blown demonic than me. I believe the case we did for the episode The Haunted in Orange, Mass. was just a really angry guy. I don't believe it was demonic. In that case.
Have you found?
But if you want to talk about demons, you need to talk to Carl, because he's got some really good cases he was on.
Is there a section of the country that it's more primed for hauntings than others?
I think any part of the country that, is prime. I mean, depending. You could go into a cornfield; it could be haunted. We don't know what was there before. You know, people lived there hundreds of years ago. There could have been a house there. It could have burnt down. People died in it. You don't know. You could go under an oak tree and be like, "Oh wow, this feels strange," or "There's a ghost here." I mean, you don't know what was there and who was living there.
And when you go and visit a site and do an investigation, does the family give you the backstory? What happens? What goes on? So, like you said, so you can be grounded when you walked in.
I'm always grounded before I go.
Okay.
I always ground myself before I go on any paranormal investigation. It's something I believe we all should do.
Okay.
You just don't know. You don't know what you're walking into.
Okay, and you try to get as much information as you can so you have a idea what to look for, or you just go in completely blind and just feel it and react according to how you feel?
I go in blind. I don't want to know anything about the case. I leave that up to Carl to take notes and the rest of the team to take notes. I don't even go there in the first time. I wait until I go until we have we'll revisit.
Okay.
I don't want to know anything.
And that's just so you could have a clearer mind, and you just won't have any thoughts going into what should happen. It's just more organic that way.
I want to go in with my own feelers and see what names I can pick up or what energies I can pick up, and that's how I work. If they want to get the information, I tell them to keep it to themselves. I don't want to know anything about the case.
What's one of the weirdest and craziest investigations that you went on?
Weirdest and craziest? My own house. To tell you the truth, the apartment I live in it was built in, I think, 1785. It's an old mill house. And when I moved in here, I think it was 5 years ago or 6 years ago, November, all the windows were closed. And every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, my bathroom door would slam. After the third night, I got up and I said, all right, I'm done with you. You need to get the hell out or stop it. Just stop doing what you're doing. So I got this big, heavy lantern. It was made out of, I think it's cast iron, and I put it in front of the door, the bathroom door. And I left it there for months. I lived alone, so I didn't need to shut the door anyway. But my neighbors probably thought I was nuts. I was up yelling at this thing. But I see her a lot, too. It's a female in here, and I see a kitty cat in here, an orange tabby. I have to say, my apartment's the weirdest. Orange math, I'd have to say, is second.
Okay.
Because that was kind of scary.
So you do get a little uneasy in some places you go.
Oh, definitely. If I feel it really bad, I walk out because I get sick to my stomach.
Okay. And
I've actually been at a client's house where I had to go on the porch and get sick.
A lot of people use these. I mean, these, like I said before, there's a lot of the people that go out there and just do this stuff just to have fun. What do you say to the people that use these Ouija boards?
Ouija board is another way of divination to me. I've used them. I don't use them at clients' house. It's like using a K2 meter or using your digital recorder. You're asking for them to say something or do something. So, I mean, it's another way of divination to me. Ouija board is supposedly this evil thing, but I don't think people should play around with them. No.
A lot of the investigators that I spoke to over the years that we've been doing this, they say stay away from those Ouija boards because it could just be bad news for you. You can bring a spirit into your own home just by messing with them.
You can bring a spirit in by asking questions on your digital recorder.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's another way of divination. It's a way of contacting, just like using your K2 meter, your dowsing rods, or having a seance.
Nice.
That's my opinion. I don't use them anymore personally.
Well, Russell, just leave the Ouija board at home. I don't want no seance here, right? I don't need demons here, okay?
Yeah, I didn't know any of that, and I just remember growing up doing stuff like that. Lies of feather, heavy, stiff as a board, or something like that. And suppose what kids do, I didn't know that could be bad down the road.
I've seen bad things happen without a Ouija board. I've seen pictures go flying off a wall when me and my friends were just hanging out and doing a seance when I was younger.
Okay, how do you guys cleanse the house?
That I will hand you over to Carl. He can actually tell you a lot more about cleansing a house. I help him. I actually, I follow his lead, but he knows more about that. I'm going to hand you over to Carl.
Okay, and thank you very much for your time, Dina.
Hello there, Russell.
Hey, how you doing out?
Pretty
Up against
good.
it.
Give Dina
Yeah, we're up.
Deserved break for a few minutes.
Yeah, we're up against the end of the show. The last question I needed: how do you guys cleanse a house?
Okay. Well, go in there with forthright and sincere intent, and preparing oneself with prayer and meditation, whatever best works for someone. You must be totally dedicated to your cause. What I do is I employ prayer and a lot of positive thinking. I never relinquish my own sense of self. I'm always very aware of who I am and what I'm there for, and prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and I bring some elements in for religious provocation, including holy water and sage. Sage is a purifying herb, and Dina will burn sage. We work on these interventions together, and it's. When I say provocation, I don't mean challenging the spirit or, daring the spirit to come forth. I just mean if it's demonic in nature, generally religious items and prayer will provoke it, will make it reveal its presence. Okay. And that also helps us determine if we're up against a demon. And it's going from room to room. Now, different investigators and different demonologists even have different approaches. Some people feel you must seal off every room and trace a cross on every mirror and every opening. Well, it's impossible to find every nook and cranny in a house. I mean, exterminators can't do that. So I think intent is more important than the actual process. But we do try to be very thorough, concentrating on the rooms where residents have reported activity, and pray for this and command this spirit to go away.
Okay.
If it's thought to be a human spirit, like generated by human beings, the remnant of a deceased human being, then we try to reason with it. If it's inhuman or demonic, we command it to leave as discreetly as possible.
Okay. That's what I was going to say, though. There was an investigator. Well, the investigating team that I went with a while ago, they would start with a prayer. He was Roman Catholic, and he would start with a prayer at the beginning of the investigation, and at the end he would close with a prayer again. And that's how no one can leave. That's what he said. No one can leave the investigating site until the prayer is done. And I'm like, okay, well, what if someone did leave? He says, well, you're taking a chance of maybe taking somebody home with you.
Yes, we call them hitchhikers.
Right.
It's recommended that nobody leave. If an emergency situation comes up, then somebody, of course, they're excused, and you have to look to practicalities as well. However, what could be dangerous is if somebody says, this is too much for me, man, and they just leave. It's too unsettling, and they get spooked and then they leave. That could be bad because it has psychological impact. The person's going to feel vulnerable, and they probably are going to be vulnerable because these entities can follow, especially if they detect weakness. Now, it's all right to be nervous and apprehensive, but don't let your emotions take over and don't run out of the site. That person is probably going to bring problems with them. But, in that sense, everybody should stay with the program. Generally, it takes about an hour, between an hour and 2 hours to thoroughly cleanse a house. Sometimes it can take 3 hours, but you stay with it. You make that commitment that you're not going to leave during that time.
I was locked.
Except under extreme circumstances.
I was locked in the Fantasy nightclub for 6.5 hours while they did an investigation.
Oh.
Well, they were thorough, huh?
Yeah, they were.
Oh, 6 hours.
It was after hours, though. It was after.
Yeah, it was after the club closed for the day and the night and everything like that, and we were locked in there until like the next morning. I'm like, dude, I got to go to work the next morning. Can we wrap this up a little bit faster?
Wow.
Yeah, well, there's so much to be said for sincerity, but you have to look forward to the next day. I mean, I've been in investigations that went on till the sun came up and didn't know it was going to be that long. And you do get tired, no matter how sincere you are and how much you want to help the residents or cleanse the dwelling. You still want to get to bed at a certain point. You're going to suffer the next day. Yeah. But if it's something like that, you should prepare and know how long you're going to be there. Like I was in Octagon Hall in 2010 in Kentucky investigating there. I thought we were going to be there till 11:30. I said, I can stick it out till midnight. At 3:30 in the morning, they're still going strong with the investigation, and I started to get loopy at that point. Fortunately, we had Mr. Aaron Houdini with us that evening, and he's a solid investigator, but he can also be very entertaining. So he amused us with card tricks as well. So we saw it out, but we didn't get out of there till 7:30 in the morning. I just wasn't prepared for it. That's all. So at least I want to change of clothes. I just want to sleep. But I got my second wind, and then the trouble is you're like in a daze the next day, even if you do grab a few hours sleep. It's like, But it was a good experience overall. But, yeah, you have to kind of know how long you're going to be there and try to plan accordingly.
Well, thank you guys very, very much for coming on. We're definitely going to have you back on because 1 hour just doesn't
Seems
do
like we
enough.
just started.
Yeah. So thank you, Carl, and thank Dina. I'll post their links on my Facebook page. And don't forget about the MSC birthday bash tomorrow. Doors open at 8 at the Rock City Tap House. Very special thanks to Carl Johnson and Dina Plazeni for coming on and talking everything that goes bump in the night. Thank you guys, and we'll definitely get you guys back on here real soon. Until next week, have a great day.